Hello friends, I'm Colonel Chehel, and from the lessons learnt from the recently concluded Iran-Israel war, as also from Op Sindoor, a GD topic may be asked from you during your SSB. The GD topic could go like this, that considering that India-Pakistan conflict is not yet over but has been put on a hold, how do you think should India prioritize its future course of action, and what is it that it should pay maximum attention to? A. Should it build up the military arsenal, or should it focus more on rendering the enemy ineffective during the war by way of building up our electronic warfare and the use of cyber and space domain so that we render the enemy ineffective? Or do you think the larger focus should now be on revisiting our foreign policy so as to ensure that nations stand by India during its hour of need, which was felt was a deficit during Op Sindoor? So this could be a GD topic that could be asked from you. Now, based on this, I have written a blog that I will be sharing with you, as also I'll give you some important points that you can keep in mind so that you're able to participate effectively in this particular group discussion. Now, we've seen from both the Israel-Iran war as also from Op Sindoor that there is a notable change in the worldview or the perception in which wars will be fought in future. So we've seen that the focus is more on degradation of the enemy's capacity to wage a war, as also the degradation of military and civil installations or infrastructure rather than crossing the border. So therefore, the destructive vector in both these operations was carried or delivered through aerial means by high precision long range missiles using smart and precision ammunition, and it was often delivered by unmanned vehicles. Now, robotics and satellites would play the backbone for the future no contact operations. Considering that the hostilities between India and Pakistan are not really over, we have discerned certain gaps in the Indian defense capability that needs to be filled up, that needs to be improved, because we are aware that next war is not going to be between India and Pakistan. It is definitely going to be between India, Pakistan, supported by China and some of the Muslim nations that we saw happen during Op Sindoor. So the capabilities have to be built up to that level so that we are able to cater to this kind of a threat. Now, the gaps that we can identify in our defense capabilities, firstly, is to strengthen the Indian Air Force. So we are aware that all future wars will, or even previous wars have always begun with the Air Force pounding the enemy areas. So unless we strengthen the Air Force and have complete air superiority during the war, we will not be able to really inflict much casualties or create that deterrence in the enemy's mind. And therefore, strengthening the Air Force would mean that presently we hold around 1700 odd aircrafts, out of which about 650 are combat aircrafts. The mainstay of our active service aircrafts include about 260 of Su-30s, 36 of Rafales, 60 of MiG-29s, rest is Tejas and Mirage 2000, which are likely to be replaced by Tejas, of course. Now, Pakistan, on the contrary, has about 900 aircrafts, out of which about 400 are combat aircraft. So like we had 650, Pakistan has around 400. Mainstay of the Pakistan Air Force includes the F-16 Falcon, JF-17 and J-10Cs of China. So this is primarily their mainstay. Besides that, there are other aircrafts also like the Mirages, but then the major thrust of Pakistan Air Force comes from the F-16s, the JF-17s and the J-10Cs. Now, Pakistan is in the process of procuring around 40 odd J-35 fifth generation stealth fighter aircrafts, which from China, of course. Now, the stealth capability allows them better maneuverability and therefore they cannot be detected very easily. The J-35s can maintain supersonic speeds without using afterburners and have highly advanced avionics. Now, India does not hold any fifth generation fighter aircraft at present, though India is actively developing the advanced medium combat aircraft, but none is in service as of now. In order to gain parity with Pakistan once it gets the J-35s from China, India needs to procure fifth generation aircrafts as early as possible, as also we need to build up our fleet from 650 to at least 1000 fighter jets, so that we are able to obtain the correct air superiority during war. So the present inventory has about 31 squadrons of fighter jets. We need to raise it up to 42 squadrons in the Air Force. Now, the second gap that was identified is that we need to invest very heavily into drones and various missile systems to give effective punishment to Pakistan. Now, we saw during the Israel-Iran war that once Iranians were able to saturate the skies with projectiles, even the most advanced missile shields like the Iron Dome and the David Sling, as also the most advanced interceptor missile Patriot, was rendered ineffective, and a lot of damage was done by Iran onto Israel. Now, Pakistan has recently acquired about 50,000 drones, and China, of course, manufactures it, and it has about 10 lakh drones in its inventory. So you can imagine the number of drones held with China, as also now with Pakistan. Though India has also been procuring drones, we have recently procured about 2,000 to 2,500 Israeli Searcher and Heron drones, has also acquired loitering ammunition like the Harpy and the Haruk. But still, we need to further build up our inventory of drones, because no amount is actually enough. Now, India has a multi-layered missile defense system which is fairly comprehensive to protect our skies, which includes, starts with the man-portable shoulder-fired missiles held with the infantry, to the short-range and medium-range and long-range missiles held with the Army Air Defense, as also with the Air Force. So it creates a grid which is fairly formidable, and it is able to tackle any threat. That is what we saw during Op Sindoor, that we were able to shoot down most of the Pakistani missiles. Also, recently that we have procured the S-400, which is actually our mainstay, the Sudarshan Chakra. So this has a range of about 400 kilometers, as also it can target and engage about 100 odd targets at one time. So we presently hold about 3 squadrons worth, and we are likely to procure another 2 squadrons by next year from Russia. Pakistan holds HQ-9 and HQ-16 missile defense systems, which were actually rendered ineffective during the Operation Sindoor. That is what we saw. However, they are in the process of procuring HQ-19, which is almost equivalent to our S-400, which the Chinese have manufactured. So they might procure that, which can actually improve their missile defense capability. Now, the next gap that was identified was to improve the electronic warfare capability. Electronic warfare capability focuses on disruption, deception and denial of the electronic spectrum to the adversary. So if we are able to deny this, naturally we render the enemy blind, the enemy is unable to detect and engage targets. So naturally it goes in a big favor if you're able to do that effectively. So that is a very, very important area that we need to focus on, which has presently not been focused upon enough. India has developed Samyukta, which is an integrated electronic warfare system. Now this is used for gaining electronic and signal intelligence. Besides, it employs electronic countermeasures to reduce the efficacy of enemy electronic warfare, as also it employs electronic support measures to support our own operations by way of surveillance, detection, jamming of the enemy communication, as well as radar signals. Now, Pakistan, with the help of China, has developed its electronic warfare capability to a major extent, and it indulges often in interfering with our global positioning system, as also spoofing by broadcasting false information along the border. China, of course, has mastered the domain of electronic warfare. It has very advanced capabilities to gather intelligence and jam communication systems and radars. Most importantly, it has developed the capacity of multi-domain warfare by integration of information, cyber systems, and the space for carrying out coordinated operations. China is now in the process of developing electronic warfare weapons which are incorporating 6G technologies. So Pakistan is also developing capability to integrate the electronic warfare with multi-domain warfare with the help of China, of course. India too needs to upgrade and integrate our the electronic warfare capabilities to include all the three services, so that we are able to reduce the sensor to shooter timing. So this was very effectively seen during Op Sindoor, but we further need to upgrade and improve and focus on the electronic warfare and the best use of electromagnetic spectrum. Now the fourth gap that was identified was that we need to aggressively invest in military space capabilities. Now, India is already in the process of formalizing its military space doctrine. India is developing 52 satellite constellation with the help of private players, of course, to enhance situational awareness, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities. We are presently dependent on the American GPS for guidance of our missiles, UAVs, and other navigation purposes, which could actually be tricky, especially during war. So it is very important that we quickly develop our own indigenous positioning system, which is called the NAVIC, Navigation with Indian Constellation. So this comprises of 7 satellites, and its range is about 1500 kilometers, which is fairly adequate, and it will be in effect, or it will come into use by end of this year, hopefully. Now, during Op Sindoor, Pakistan had the liberty to use Chinese Beidou navigation system, which is highly effective, and this navigation system has been fully integrated into the Chinese military so that it becomes self-reliant, and also it can enhance its electronic warfare capabilities. Fifth gap that was seen during Op Sindoor was that we need to improve our national integration as also our foreign relations. Now, India must make an endeavor to closely integrate all minority communities, especially the Muslims. Now, whenever some politician for vote bank politics says that Muslims should go back to Pakistan, we are only playing into the hands of Pakistan. It provides Pakistan enough material to build up a narrative regarding India's intolerance towards Muslims, and hence garner the support of Muslim countries. We saw what happened during Op Sindoor, that Turkey and Azerbaijan came in open support. They provided even the hardware to Pakistan during this operation. Now, India must revisit its foreign policy with regard to China. We are a nation that should understand that in the global arena, we have to take sides. Now, just because we do not take any sides, naturally when we need support, we do not get that unflinching support. US has demonstrated a number of times that it is nobody's friend, and therefore India must foster stronger ties with the BRICS nations. That it means that even at the expense of getting on the wrong side of Donald Trump, we must align with the BRICS nations. I feel being closer to Russia and China is a better bet than being closer to the West in many ways. India and China are trading partners. China is the second largest trading partner of India, and therefore having good relations with China actually is in India's favor. We need to peacefully coexist. And recently concluded SEO summit, our Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has offered to bridge the trust deficit which has happened between India and China by focusing on disengagement, de-escalation, and border management in a progressive manner, so that a permanent solution could be found to this decade-long border dispute, many decades long rather, border dispute. So if we are able to focus on this and have better relations with China, naturally the region becomes more peaceful. I would like to say that India must focus on the following. Firstly, invest heavily in research and development of modern weapon systems. We need to start making in India and incorporate AI, quantum physics, hypersonic platforms, space and cyber domains, which have been neglected for a long time. We need to focus on that. We need to ensure socio-economic stability within the country. Only then we'll be able to face an exterior or external threat. We need to improve our international relations that should be built on mutual trust, shared values, and economic interdependence. So I hope you'll find this video useful while you participate in your group discussion during the SSB. All the best. God bless you all.